What was the worst job interview you've had? 5 interview rounds, the last interview round being with the CEO for an entry-level customer service job. During the last interview, the CEO said you weren't allowed to get sick and you weren't allowed to leave at the end of the day until all of the work had been done. So even though the job was 8-4, the CEO said customer service reps often stayed until 6. She also asked if I would be comfortable secretly reporting to her about what the customer service team is up to. I declined the job offer and the company harassed me with emails asking why and what they did wrong. Really glad I didn't take the job. My first interview ever was at it, and I accidentally knocked a 90-year-old woman over. An agency sent me for an interview and said the starting salary is plus 33,000. The interview went fairly well until the interviewer said, "So what sort of salary are you looking for?" So using the info I had from the agency, I said, "Well, I think 33,000 is a fair starting point." The interviewer practically threw me out. He started to shout about wasting his time because I expected to be paid a huge salary. And who did I think I was? He was paying 20,000. Yeah, I have one that sticks out. I applied to a government branch as a network admin and asked for a bachelor's degree. They called me into the interview. When I got there, the first thing the interviewer said was, "We wanted someone with a master's degree. Why did you apply?" No. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they had other interviews that day and got them mixed up. Shit happened. I just informed the interviewer that I applied for, requested a bachelor's degree, and confirmed the position I was interviewing for. No, we definitely wanted someone with a master's degree. So, again, why did you apply? If you wanted someone with a master's degree, why did you bother calling me in for an interview? You're very rude and unprofessional. Yeah, you fucked up at every junction thus far, but I'm the one who's rude and unprofessional. Had a phone interview, and the woman kept asking more and more intrusive questions, kept hinting I'm a total piece of shit who's totally unfit for the job. It was the easiest job description ever, and jumping to conclusions about my life that were completely untrue. For example, I found out that being a freelancer who gets a lot of decently paid work each month is apparently living off my parents. She kept going on and on like that for quite a while before I told her to piss off and hung up. Didn't really need the job too badly, but it was in a different country, so the travel aspect was the main reason. Years later, I found out it was a stress interview, which apparently is a thing. Fuck those people. When he said, "I'll give you extra hours if you bring me smokes every day," then put his hand on my leg and said his wife gives him passes to have fun. I also got a speeding ticket on the way to the interview. Was not my mum. As a nanny, you get some of the weirdest job interviews. Not a professional rep. It's Liza, who married her college boyfriend and works for her rich dad. Most were just a little awkward with some inappropriate questions, like do you have a boyfriend or do you plan on having kids soon? One definitely stands out. I go to an interview for a family of a 16-month-old. Mum introduces herself and tells me we'll be interviewing in the nursery. I follow her in, and there's only one chair. The rocking chair. She tells me to sit on the ground in a not-so-nice way. It became very clear that it was symbolic for how she treats the help. She wanted to literally look down on me. I sit down, and she gets her toddler out of the crib, sits in the rocking chair, and immediately starts breastfeeding. I've been around a lot of breastfeeding mamas, so it wasn't that weird, but she took her top off. So she was pretty open about it. First thing she says, "I hope you're awkward this because you'll be seeing a lot." No real hello. How's it going? Or a question. Just get used to seeing mine. Then she tells me we'll be conducting the interview when she's done nursing. So for the next 15 minutes, I'm just staring at her breastfeeding. Already super weird. The interview finally starts, and it goes well. She is clearly a rich, spoiled girl. Asks a million questions, which is cool. including a couple weird ones. When she's done, I go, "Can I ask some questions?" Her response is nope. Then she tells me she wants to see how I'll do with the kid. For the next 2 hours, I follow her around and do what she tells me. I change diapers, give the kid a bath, fold baby clothes, put the kid down for a nap, even wash breast pump parts. And she's critiquing me on everything. She sends me on my way eventually. I actually thought I did really bad because she was angry a lot. Whatever, because I definitely did not want that. A month later, I get a phone call saying I've been hired. I laughed out loud. I had apparently been the best candidate by far, probably because I just took all her shit. She had even ordered me a work uniform, which is ridiculous. I tell her I'm not accepting, and she's livid. I got messages for the next 6 months telling me how horrible I am and that I betrayed her, and others telling me I can still take the job. Job was for a vibration analysis engineer. I knew how to do the job well. I knew the pay should be around 95 IC, and they stated 55 IC in the interview. When I tried to discuss my point, they said, "Don't worry, there's plenty of overtime." They also mentioned since they weren't involved with many balancings at the moment, I would assist the cleaning crew with a lot of the cleanings. I've never been so uninterested in a job in my life. The first question they asked was a statistics exam type question. It took me completely off guard. I half-assed the answer. A complete answer would have taken half an hour. The next question was about a Punnett square analysis. I answered honestly and said that the first thing I would do would be to look it up. Errors in Punnett squares are incredibly common, and I wouldn't trust anyone who said they could do it off the top of their head. I'd look it up even if I'd done one last week. They really didn't like that answer. They wanted to know where my husband worked and where we lived, and they concluded that our 6-month rental location was completely incompatible with the commute to their location. The whole thing was just super weird. It was like they sat down determined to find a reason they should not harm me. I was relieved to get out of there. I went into a family-owned custom furniture shop that had several openings in the carpentry department. Red flag one. When I arrived, I spoke to the person at the front of house stating I was there for an interview. The conversation went as follows. Note, owner's office was directly behind the front desk. He was watching us through a two-way mirror. Me to front desk clerk. "I am here to interview for the carpenter position. I saw your post on them." Owner storms out of his office, points a finger at me. Face full of anger. Red flag to owner. "Are you experienced?" Me is, "I've 7 years experience with carpentry, but I'm new to furniture. Owner. "Are you experienced?" Red flag 3 me is ... Owner. "Fine. I'll get the lead carpenter and he'll talk to you." At this point I should have noped the fuck out of there, but I'd been unemployed for some time and my savings was running on fumes, so I assumed he may have just been in a bad mood that day. So I had waited for the lead carpenter. Lead carpenter comes out, and we have the interview on the sales floor. Interview goes as normal until he asked me about my experience. Carpenter. "So tell me how you have experience with woodwork, but not with furniture. Me, I build musical instruments, am familiar with all power tools, and measurements required. Carpenter looks at me like I have 2 heads while I explain this, but the rest of the interview proceeds as normal. He stated he'd start me off at 10/ a probational hire for 2 weeks to see how I fit. Part of the interview comes where he asks if I have any question. Me, "So is the owner having a bad day?" Carpenter. "No, that is how he is." Red flag 4. We have an awkward silence, staring at each other for about 10 seconds. Then, without saying anything, I just walk out. Found out a few weeks later from a friend who is a woodworker that the place is known amongst furniture woodworkers as the place you want to avoid, and he mentioned that a few days before I interviewed that their entire carpentry staff, minus the lead carpenter, about 8 people, walked out. I now live about a mile from that store and pass it on my daily commute. Every 5-6 months, they put up a "now hiring all positions" sign up from. Can't imagine how many people they have cycled through at this point. Edit. Holy cow, I didn't expect this to get upvoted. Awards and comments. Thank you all so much. To answer a few questions. The carpentry shop is in South Florida. Apparently they stay in business because they do amazing work. Two-way mirror, also known as two-way glass. A two-way mirror is glass that is reflective on one side and clear on the other, giving the appearance of a mirror to those who see the reflection, but allowing people on the clear side to see through, as if at a window. The name is misleading, but that is what it's called. This was 4 years ago now. So $10 slasher was way too low for the verbal abuse and labour. In my early 20s I built guitars, ukuleles, and occasionally violin. I have since changed locations, but still repair them from time to time.